Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the May Healthy Ulster Council meeting. We have a really great agenda today and a lot of wonderful speakers. We're going to be doing some networking and we will also be doing some collective action. We've got a lot of professional development, so welcome again. So if you're new to the Healthy Ulster Council, we get together bi-monthly for professional development, for networking, and for collective action. Everyone is welcome at these meetings, so tell your colleagues all about it, and the next meeting in July will grow even more exponentially. Happy to have you here. I'd like to introduce some of our co-hosts. So today, my name is Melinda Herzog, and I'm the Healthy Communities Program Leader at Cornell Cooperative Extension of Ulster County, and I coordinate the Healthy Ulster Council on behalf of the Ulster County Department of Health and Mental Health. And I'd like Stacy to introduce herself.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here. Stacy Kraft with the Ulster County Department of Health, Public Health Education Coordinator.
And our other co-host today is Katie Sheehan Lopez. Katie, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, my name is Katie Sheehan Lopez. I'm the SNAP-Ed Nutrition Educator at Cornell Cooperative Extension.
So welcome everyone. So we're your hosts for the meeting and we want to get started right away. So those are the basics of the meeting. We have a really full agenda today, as you can see. So we have Children's Care Management Services is one of our presentations, and the other is the Hudson Valley LGBTQ and Community Center and Wellbeing Institute, supporting and celebrating our diverse LGBTQ community. So we're really excited about that. We'll be talking about our collective action and of course having our facilitated networking session. So this is all going to happen in the next hour and a half. We're going to do it. So our first presentation, I just wanted to introduce. So I'm going to introduce Michelle Barbero. She's the regional manager at the Children's Health Home of Upstate New York. And as the regional manager of CUNY, Michelle Barbero assists in making sure families and referral sources understand children's care management and how to access services. Before taking on this role with CUNY, Michelle supervised both children's adult care management programs and has over 25 years of experience in providing direct care in mental health and substance abuse programs in New York State. And Michelle is going to be presenting today on children's care management services. I'm going to stop sharing so that she can share. Welcome, Michelle.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Barbero, and I work with CHUNY, which stands for Children's Health Home of Upstate New York. And I'm going to make sense of terms like health home and care management in a minute. But I do want to start out. I definitely would like, I'm going to try to make this brief, and I know I'm speaking to people from all different types of populations. My services that I'm representing cover ages 0 through 21, medical, mental health, behavioral, developmental. So I encourage all of you, I put my number in the chat box. You've got flyers with my number. If you would like a presentation for your staff where we can discuss specific cases, I am more than happy to do that. So I'm going to start this off by explaining where these services came from. So what happened in New York State? These changes happened about 6.5 years ago at the adult level, and 3.5 years ago, the children's services came into play. So what was wrong was New York State was spending $50+ billion on Medicaid per year. It was increasing by 13% every year, and there was really not any great results from all of this. I've represented the different systems here that were all working independently from one another and charging Medicaid themselves. So that's like Office OASIS, which is Office of Alcohol and Substance Abuse, hospitals, and that's psychiatric hospitals, medical hospitals, developmental services, individual specialists and doctors like psychiatrists, and then OMH. So all of these systems were running completely independent from one another for years and years and billing Medicaid, and things were running along. And when they went to do this overhaul, or when they went to look at what was wrong with Medicaid, they realized that 40% of Medicaid recipients were in multiple systems. And the problem here is that they weren't communicating with each other. So this is one of the things that care management will address. The other thing that I'm sure many of you who work in this field will understand is that there was also a lack of guidance and support outside of the system. So many clients will probably nod and seem to understand while they're in their group or in their therapy session or talking with the doctor, and then they leave and nothing happens. And that's not just from non-compliance. It might be lack of understanding how to navigate the system or just overwhelmed with their own life. So two of the things that Medicaid put in place to help with some of the changes was one, I'm going to go through this one really quick because I think many people are aware. Managed care organizations have taken over the billing in Medicaid. So you may notice the blue and white Medicaid, New York State Medicaid cards, where that everyone used to have, are no longer around. Everyone's Medicaid is now connected to MVP, Fidelis, United Healthcare, whichever managed care organization they chose to go with. I do make it a point of saying this in the meeting when I'm doing presentations, because maybe like a school may ask a family what kind of insurance you have. They may say Fidelis, but that doesn't mean they don't have Medicaid. So I want you to be aware of that. Their card will look like Fidelis or MVP or United Healthcare, but they will still have their Medicaid ID number on there, which is 2 letters, 5 numbers, and a letter. So I'm going to make some quick sense of all these terms. So Department of Health at New York State made these changes. There's a lot of other changes that I'm not mentioning, and it's a little too elaborate, more like financial stuff. You may notice that a lot of the hospitals have sort of grouped, so various hospitals have the same name now. I'm just going to focus on care management to avoid any further, any confusion. But Department of Health set up all of these policies and regulations for how they would like things to run more cohesively. They contracted out with health homes. That is where I am from. There are 16 children's health homes throughout New York State. My agency is the biggest one. We cover 55 counties. We cover every county in New York except New York City and Long Island. And then we contract out the care management agencies that provide the direct service. So that sounds like my agency would be huge, but it's not. We're a smaller agency and we basically just oversee all these different agencies, provide training, we do the billing, we do quality assurance. And I was hired to make sure that everybody even knew about this program so that they can get referrals and people can get the help that's available. So I do have a little sampling here. We have 89 care management agencies contracted out with us, but I did want to just mention, I really would like to make sense of all this so that when you guys are thinking of who's eligible, you'll understand. I was working in the mental health field for years. They did this transition and I almost wish that they fired all of us and made us interview for new positions, because one day we were case managers, the next day we were care managers, and that was across all the systems. So I'm pointing this out because some of our agencies will specialize in certain areas. So for example, Children's Health Network and SCIP, they work with medically fragile. If you ever referred a child to us who would need people who understood that system, we would make sure they got to that care management agency. Liberty Resources specialized in early intervention. Kids Peace and Children's Village or Abbott House is on here. They specialized with foster care. Astor Mental Health. So everybody kind of came from their own world, but we're all kind of helping everybody navigate all the systems. And if a child is more like, if the needs are strong, we're going to make sure that they're with people who really understand the system that they're going to be connected with. So 2 main things that care managers are going to be responsible for. One is ensuring communication amongst all the providers. So in the children's world, that might seem a little weird. So maybe an older child, like a teenager, that might include the teacher, the pediatrician always, a therapist, someone that they're seeing at school, like a psychologist or any kind of advocate through school, a peer counselor, and then the referral source, who is ever making the referral. If DSS is involved, maybe any of the DSS workers. For younger children, I know it seems like there's not too many people involved, but there kind of is. In schools, when I was doing the care management, supervising the program before taking this position with Chunny, we had a lot of children at the elementary level, and usually they were connected already to the psychologist at school, the teacher, the pediatrician. They were often being asked to go for further testing. So then we were bringing in another person. And then again, if DSS is involved, or if there's any of these new supports that are available, like CFTSS, any of those workers, all of these people need to be in the loop. So one of the things that has been added here is that when we enroll a child, and this is a voluntary program, so when we do enroll a child, we enter their Medicaid ID number into the Department of Health system. And if they show up at the emergency room, we'll get an alert, and we'll follow up with the family, find out what happened, how they ended up there, what could we do in the future to avoid getting it to the point of showing up at the emergency room. Same thing with wellness appointments. If they haven't shown up for the wellness appointments, we'll get an alert. Same thing for the dentist. And if any children are on medication that requires blood work, we'll get alerts if they haven't been getting the blood work. Now, I do want to point out, I'm making this sound very much like we're watching you and you're in trouble. It's not like that. My point is that this is now a support to find out what's getting in the way of getting to the doctor. I can't tell you how many times I've reached out to a family and let them know I got an alert and was everything okay? Were they aware? And they said, I had the appointment. The Medicaid transportation wouldn't let me bring my other child in the cab. So it was not, right away. It's like, you didn't do it. And it's not like that at all. Now we're going to help them figure out how to navigate, maybe even advocate for them. I'm hoping that makes sense, because this has been the hardest part of my job, trying to talk about these services. For those of you who have worked in this field for a while, people never got services like this until they were bad or in trouble. This is now available at a very, very preventative level. And what I'm trying to emphasize is, of course, we're there for the kids who are really struggling, but it's also available for families who just need some help navigating the systems. So for example, a mom who's single, working full-time, 2 or 3 children, and one of them now gets diagnosed with a medical condition or enters the special ed system, it's overwhelming. You don't even know what's available to ask for or which way to go. I can't tell you how many schools have been asking for neurological assessments. And it's not that the family is being resistant. It's just like, you're almost speaking a different language. Where do I even begin with this? So we've helped a lot of families get further testing for school. Schools were our greatest referral source before COVID hit. The other thing that we do, besides make sure everybody's communicating, is connect families to the basic needs that anybody would need to stay healthy. So helping them get SNAP benefits, or really quickly, I will tell you, when I was providing these services, I've helped families apply for disability for their children, fill out Section 8 applications. Tons of kids needed neurological assessments, helping them navigate that, help them find therapists. Older kids helped get into a GED program, and on and on and on. I do want to point out that a lot of times when I'm presenting to an agency, they go, well, we do that already. This is not for everyone. You might want to look at this resource and say, this might be a good resource for me when I'm ready to close a case. Or if you have a very complicated case, include us. We don't overlap with anything. We can work with children if they are in any sort of DSS services, or if they're in a special therapeutic school. So keep that in mind. But sorry, I'm on our main page. childrenshealthhome.com is our website. This is an amazing website. You are more than welcome to tell families to come on here themselves. I want to point out that right here, you can switch the language of the entire website. So anyone, any language can come on here, and it's tons and tons of information. It's repeated often. It's pretty, I think it's pretty, it makes sense. But I do want to point out, I wish I could show this video, but no one can ever hear it when I try to show it over Zoom. It's less than 2 minutes long. And not only do I think it would be a great way for you guys to get an idea that this is really a support and pulling everybody together, but it's also an excellent resource for you to use if you're talking to a family about this service, because it's definitely like non-threatening sort of advocacy, and we're going to be like a go-to person for them. So I'm going to click learn more to go to the second page of our website and tell you who's eligible. And you will soon see that if the child is between 0 and 21 years old with Medicaid, almost basically anyone in need is eligible. So 3 things. 1, they have to be between 0 and 21. 2, they have to have Medicaid, not Child Health Plus, but Medicaid. And it will be connected to any of those managed care organizations. And 3rd, you have to meet the criteria by having 1 or 2 chronic conditions. And you will see right now how this will include everybody. So to qualify with 1 chronic condition, it would be one of these 3 categories: HIV, an SED, which is any diagnosis from the DSM. It was ADHD count here, so a child can qualify just with ADHD, bipolar, depression, adjustment disorder, so any diagnosis by itself. And then this one is new, and it's the best thing that they have done. Complex trauma is saying that the child does not have a diagnosis, but needs services. So things that would qualify a child under complex trauma could be things like homelessness, a change in caregiver, a parent with a mental health or a substance abuse disorder, witnessing domestic violence, bullying, a victim of any type of abuse. I could go on and on. There's even a blank on this form if if we're not meeting it. But what I'll tell you really quickly, 2 completely opposite examples, but it was so helpful. I had a grandpa who went across country to get his 5-year-old grandson because he knew his daughter was not doing well. He brought him back here, got legal guardianship of him, got him enrolled in school, which meant he got him Medicaid, and was just completely overwhelmed at where to begin with trying to help this child. If it was not for complex trauma, like the older days, we would have had to wait until that child had an appointment, had a diagnosis, then get referred to us, which in this way, he qualified: change in caregiver, neglect, he had witnessed domestic violence. I mean, this kid qualified 10 times over. And then I was able to help Grandpa navigate all these systems and services. So it was just so much more purposeful that way. Another example, just to keep in mind, is there was a young boy, he was 13, and he had a brain aneurysm. He, completely healthy, had this brain aneurysm, ends up in the hospital for 4.5 months, which meant his mom ended up in the hospital for 4.5 months with him. Mom was there night and day. The one who was having all the trouble was the brother that was at home. He was now living with relatives. He was petrified about what was going on with his brother and his mother, and he was doing poorly in school, behavior problems, and we were able to qualify him under complex trauma and get some care management in place to kind of help, with the schoolwork and communication with mom and his brother and stuff. So 2 completely different examples, but just keep in mind, if you had a child who needed these services, it would most likely qualify under complex trauma. So those were the 3 ways you can qualify with just 1 condition. And now I'm going to open up this list of chronic conditions from Department of Health. And because it's from Department of Health, there is excessive words. So I'm scrolling down to the list of chronic conditions. This is the same list at the adult level as the children's. That is why Alzheimer's is on here. But as soon as you guys start looking at this list, you're going to realize it is a complete blend of those systems I talked about earlier. There are things related to alcohol on here, asthma, which is medical, ADD is on here, which is behavioral, bipolar is on here. There is lots and lots of medical things. There is chronic everything. This is only because we are not listing every diagnosis in existence. So for example, I had a 6-year-old referred to me. She was going blind in one eye. She needed surgery. Whatever the name of, I do not remember the formal name of it, but I qualified her under chronic eye diagnosis, and her other condition was a learning delay. So, oops, I went too far. I want to touch base quickly on the developmental issues. So it says on here, like, developmental language disorder qualifies someone, developmental delay. So underneath this, autism, Asperger's, learning delay, it all falls underneath here. The only children that we cannot work with would be classified OPWDD. If they are already classified OPWDD, when they made these health homes, there is a separate health home for people classified OPWDD. And I believe the main reason it's separate is because it's a lifelong service and they will be using this service throughout their life. Any questions? I saw you unmute, Melinda.
Me. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. I thought you had a question. So I will say, though, that probably when I was supervising that program, that probably like 35% of the children that we were working with in elementary school would at some point get that classification. But until they have it, we are able to work with them as long as they meet the criteria. Any questions? Well, should I wait if anyone's
Yeah,
putting in
actually, we do have some questions.
Okay.
So remember, the questions get typed in the chat, and as hosts, we'll read them. We do have a question already, and that is this comes from Vin Martello. How do people become aware of or find out about you, or how are children referred to you or families referred to you?
Mainly by me getting out here and presenting. I present this is my full-time job. I do this like twice a day to anyone who is interested. You know, it's Medicaid, so they're not really advertising it. I'm actually starting a newsletter because I now have a humongous email list. So I'm going to start so I could keep reminding people about it. You know, the people who were in the field were in a lot of webinars before the changes happened, but it's true. If you're not in this field, it's kind of not very well known. So that's why I keep hitting everybody up to talk. So please invite me, share my information. I will talk to anybody who knows people who have Medicaid that might benefit from this.
I have a question, I guess, and we do have a raised hand, but again, remember your questions get typed in the chat, please. One of my questions is actually, how do you communicate this with doctors' offices, and do you get referrals through doctors' offices and obviously schools?
Schools were our greatest referral source. This is my own personal opinion, is because they saw the children every day. Where doctors' offices, I did go a lot to the doctors. They know about this. They are very, very agreeable. Like when we sign someone up and we need to get documentation of their health condition, they send it right over. They're very aware of it. I just don't think they have the time to sit and talk and, you know, fill out referral forms or even know the whole story because they see them for such a short amount of time. But I will say it's not very common, but I did get a referral from a doctor's or a hospital. This mom kept bringing the child to the emergency room in crisis. He had sickle cell anemia. So they were saying, get connected with somebody. You can't let him get to this point. And then again, it's voluntary.
I have another comment that says this information is very helpful. And this comes from Kathy Nolan. But it also, the name Children's Health Home is a little confusing since there doesn't seem to be any home. And she's now going to be thinking of this as using Children's Health Home base, using sort of a baseball analogy. Do you know where the idea that they used home
it's, you know, two problems here. One, we're called a children's health home, which we all are, not just my agency. They call these children's health homes, and I think what they meant to imply is that everything will be housed in one area, but it's too close to health home services. Like, people think that we provide health care at home, you know. And the other problem is that everyone in the entire world right now is called a care manager. There's care managers in the doctor's offices, in the hospitals, even the insurance companies. So this is health home care management, and we are community-based. That is the main difference. We meet families in their homes. I want to show you guys really quickly, unless there's any other questions, because I want
There's
to
one
show you
other
where to come back.
comment, and this will be the last one. It just says, this is from Michelle Hurst. This is a great system, but it gets complicated. While OPWDD has its own care managers, children enrolled in OPWDD have a co-occurring mental health condition. They can still access some of the behavioral health home services like family peer. So there, you know, that's also of concern.
All right, those additional services I'm not gonna touch on yet because it's just too much information for the amount of time I have. So right now I'm talking about the basic care management services. So just to show everyone, we were on the second page. I just want to show you where to go back to find that list. This is the second page of the website, right underneath who's eligible, and you can open up and print that list of chronic conditions if you want to. But I did want to give you guys an idea of who is providing. I'm going over here. It's in the upper right hand corner, and clicking on our provider network, and I'm going to click on care management agencies. And I will punch in Ulster. And search. And these are all the agencies that are providing services in Ulster. And you'll see another thing that has changed is that people used to, or agencies used to be so focused on one county. Everything used to be so separate in each county. These agencies are now all covering multiple counties. Many of the agencies have multiple offices now and have hired remote staff. I do want to make it a point to throw it out there to the Ulster County programs that sometimes I've already done this with 2 other agencies, and if you guys feel it's a need, please connect with me and it might be possible to do it for your program. But if you had enough children to justify hiring a care manager, which would be between 15 to 20 kids that you think would qualify as care management, some of the agencies are willing to hire a care manager and place them in your program, which would be a win-win because that person would be very connected to everything you're doing. They'd also be providing the care management services. So I do want to just throw that out there if you think that might be something you'd be interested in. It kind of worked with like a rural area in Columbia. You know, it was just so much more purposeful to have a care manager who knew the area and was in the program rather than commuting from a different county. I'm going to just show you really quickly, all the way in the upper right-hand corner, clicking on Make a Referral. This is new. It could not be easier. They made it now so that you can literally fill out the application and press send.
So this is really awesome. We do have to wind this down at this point. We do have another presentation. Michelle, I just want to share with everyone that Michelle has sent information on her program that I have also emailed to you. So you now have a way to directly contact her, and we'll also be sharing this on Healthy Ulster Council Google Groups. And Michelle, it'd probably be good if you also put your contact information in the chat if you haven't already, so that we can all reach out to you. And I thank you so much.
I put my phone number in, but I'll put the website and my email in as well. And please, this is my full-time job. Anyone who wants me to either talk to just you a little bit more specifically or your staff, please feel free to call me.
Thank you so much. It was an awesome presentation. Really, really good information that I know, you know, is just going to be utilized by a lot of us. I know our own programs. We have programs at Cornell Cooperative Extension. Will be reaching out to you as well.
Thank you.
So thank you. I want to introduce our next presenter, Skylar Roach, who grew up in upstate New York, spending his time drawing with friends, skiing, and working at an art studio where he put on programs for children with autism spectrum disorder and other social disabilities. Since he came out as a transgender man, his passion for helping others in LGBTQ advocacy has only grown, starting by leading his school's Pride Club through LGBTQ housing at SUNY New Paltz, and finally coming to work at the Hudson Valley LGBTQ Community Center. His experiences through his work in different social fields has helped him grow his knowledge of intersectional justice and adapt his personal style of interpersonal communication and art therapy techniques to best suit the needs of his loved ones and his community. And he'll be presenting today on the Hudson Valley LGBTQ Community Center and Wellbeing Institute, supporting and celebrating our diverse LGBTQ community. So welcome, Skylar.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. I'm just going to pull up my little PowerPoint real quick. But I also just want to say I appreciate any questions that any of you have in relationship to our services, or even some general questions that you might have about the LGBTQ community or what it means for us to access services, or even barriers that come in the way of accessing services for the LGBTQ community. The only questions I wouldn't be answering today are opinion questions, just because I say that at the beginning of my presentations, just so that there's like a level of boundary setting with us. So I'm Skylar. I'm really happy to be here. I use he, him, his pronouns. So an example of that is he went to the store. I identify as being I am a trans man, so I identify as being a man. And that's kind of the way I navigate my life, but it definitely has my identity. Being part of the LGBTQ community has definitely opened up the most amazing doors for me in terms of both finding community, accessing resources, and being able to redistribute those resources to other members of my community who also need them. So I'm really excited to share with you all. And if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them. I'm so excited to see them. There we go. All right, so the LGBTQ Community Center of the Hudson Valley is located in Kingston, New York. We have actually a great space that I'm really sad that we're not being able to utilize right now, because it's a beautiful space. It's filled with pictures of our community and art and just amazing stuff. But there are two branches under our organization. One branch, which I put on the left, I know it's like dorky that I did all this graphic design for it. I was just like excited. But we have the Wellbeing Institute on one side of our services, and they provide support in health. So, and mostly mental health. They provide free counseling resources to our community. And then on the other side of our services that we provide are our programs, which are specifically created events and services to address the needs, whether they be social, medical, mental health, and any of that financial of our community. So first I'm going to touch on the Wellbeing Institute, which is a big love for me. We offer, which is I think actually a really amazing resource, we offer no fee counseling and health and wellness programs. So for up to 12 sessions, any person can come to us and be involved with our free counseling. And then after those 12 sessions, we will refer to another LGBTQ affirming counselor. And so those counselors that we refer to are also on a sliding scale basis. So we will assess with our community member who is accessing our counseling, what their financial ability is, and work based off of that to find them a counselor that makes the most sense for LGBTQ affirming care for their financial ability. We also have groups through this section of the center. And these groups are more centered around the things that I touched on that the Wellbeing Center does so well, which is mental health, which is health services. So we have transformations, which is a transgender support discussion group with a clinician. So we have social groups as well under our programs department, but these are specifically all either clinician. Actually, I think all of these are clinician-led programs. So we have Transformations, which is a transgender support group, grief support group for people who are grieving. We have a communal workspace group, which is also clinician-led for people experiencing a lack of motivation, especially with people who are, struggling with mental health. This can be a really valuable resource to allow them an allotted time where they can come feel safe with their community and check in at the beginning and at the end of a couple-hour period to get some work done together. And it's just, whatever it is it cleaning? Is it, you have to write your resume? And we can also help with stuff like that in that time. So it's just kind of a drop-in space virtually for people to come and get stuff done together. And that's clinician-led. We also have creative arts therapy groups, music and imagery, which is just a general arts therapy group, clinician-led, and a songwriting group called Songs of Ourselves, which is obviously it's a musical based clinician-led support and creation group. So I'm really excited. I feel like I really love the services that we're able to offer in the groups that we're able to offer under this program, under this section of our programs. We also have health and wellness programs. So we have yoga. We have, unfortunately, on hiatus right now. Before COVID, we had our acupuncture clinic, which we are planning to bring back. We have free HIV testing clinics frequently, which we are planning to bring back. And then we also have PrEP and PEP, which is, HIV medication and preventative medication informational clinics for our community to come and feel safe accessing that kind of health resource amongst their community. So this is the department that I work under. I am our community outreach person, liaison, and I love to be at these kinds of meetings, at these kind of functions, because I really believe in the work that we do, and I believe in the programs that we create for our community. We have virtual groups right now. Unfortunately, we're not, meeting in person. Obviously, that wouldn't be safe. So in order to keep our community as healthy as we possibly can, we have switched pretty much entirely to virtual for now, but we are planning to reinstate some in-person outside events for Pride Month coming up in June, as well as when we reach probably around September, considering going back for some of our in-person groups. Obviously, we're playing it by ear right now just to keep our community as healthy and safe as possible. We have virtual groups. So we have identity-based groups. We have a women's group of masc and men, which is for any man or male identifying or even masc identifying. So non-binary people, which means like not a man or a woman, non-binary people who identify with masculinity can come to this group. And it's a discussion group for peers to meet other peers and to have conversations about important topics within their communities. We have a men's discussion group, which tends to see an older crowd. So that's like a little bit more vintage pride is kind of more, it's the way we talk about it, or our SAGE groups. We have LGBTQ plus abilities, which is a disability group for people in the LGBTQ community, which I am also very proud of, just because I think that the intersectional nature of the work that we do at the center is vastly important. And those places where our identity as being part of the LGBTQ plus community intersects with other axes of marginalization like race, economic status, ability, gender, are all really, really important and places that we want to focus our attention. We have our trans spectrum discussion group, which is the social side to our trans groups. And we also have a PFLAG group, which is parents and family members of lesbian and gay people. Kingston, or the Kingston chapter of that takes place in our center as well. So we have spaces for also allies, anyone who's allied with the LGBTQ plus community or just wants to learn more about how they can support the LGBTQ plus people or people you don't even know who are LGBTQ plus in your life, and how you can be the best ally to those people. We have special interest groups, which are not based in identity, obviously. We have game night, which is really fun. Obviously, we get together, we play board games. Right now, we're doing it virtually even. So we've figured out a way how to get the board games online. And we're really happy with the kind of turnout we get, especially for our game nights. And then we also have Serenity at the Center, which is our AA group, which is specific to the LGBTQ plus community. We have other virtual resources, which I would love if any of you were able to access. On our YouTube page, we have mindful musical meditations and First Friday Sound Bath, which are both meditative kinds of programs in which you can just kind of relax, and you'll be led through sort of a visualization process in mindful musical meditations, where you just get a chance to meditate with one of our clinicians. And then we also have musical stories, which is LGBTQ plus affirming stories for you and your kids. So it's being read to you. And we have a whole library. We actually have a library at our center full of LGBTQ written and affirming books. And so we tap into that to, bring the story time to kids, which we also love to do. Our website has a couple of resources that any of you may be interested in. We have our community center calendar, which includes in both our information and other LGBTQ community centers information and events. And then we also have an LGBTQ plus affirming business and health directory. So if you are a business that has a gender neutral restroom, if you have a restroom. So if you don't have any restroom on your premises, don't worry about it. But if you have a restroom and you have a gender neutral option, you can qualify for this. We put you on our page as a reference and a resource for our LGBTQ community to tap into. And we will also refer to people within these directories for any outside support that we may need for our community. Our youth programs are a big point of pride for us, and a place that we really like to focus both our funding and our energy. We have the Chill Out, which is our just sort of social group for teens. I actually have been the host a couple times of our Chill Out group, and they are the most imaginative, creative group of kids that I really have ever met. They love to draw, they love to listen to music, they love to chat with each other and be so silly. Like it's the best thing. And seeing them thrive in a space that is created for their safety is so powerful, and something that I was never really able to access outside of creating my own Pride Club as a teen. So it brings me a lot of happiness and a lot of hope to see that we are able to provide that for teens now. We also have League of Extraordinary Genders, which is our gender inclusive, but specific to trans identifying individuals and people of trans experience group for youth. And that is also really important to us, as they can be often at the forefront of receiving, the brunt of a lot of trauma, honestly, from a lot of different places in their life as they're coming out in their teenhood, and supporting them in both their gender exploration, their medical needs, and their social needs for other people who, look like them and can identify with what they're going through, I think is really important. We also have our Teen Leadership Council, which is a place for mentorship, a place for growth with our teens, and one in which they are given a little bit more power, a little bit more free reign to help create the programs and the services that they want to see within our center. So this is one, I just put up a poster that they made together as a team. The teens made this poster for one of our teen nights, where we had a outside life coach actually come in who was LGBTQ plus affirming, and talk with them about how they can have fun with playing with their identities and how they can be fluid, and that they don't have to, if they know what they need, then that's fine. But if they don't know, where exactly their feelings are, that's okay, and that it's okay to explore that. And I just wrote down at the bottom that I wanted you all to look at it because I thought it was really cute. We have specialty and social events all the time, which I encourage any one of you to attend. We have holiday sage table, which we did this last year. Unfortunately, it had to be virtual, but we do have sage tables, which are about connecting intergenerational members of the LGBTQ plus community. So we love to connect our teens with our older folks, with our vintage pride, and see the kind of conversations that come out of that, because there is really so much that our teens can learn from our older LGBTQ adults, and there's so much that vice versa, our older adults can learn from our teens about what's on the forefront of being LGBTQ and what does that mean in a different time from when they were growing up. And I think that there's a lot of healthy dialogue that can go on in those programs. We had a Black History Month film series, which actually had great attendance, had a lovely spread of films put on by our programs assistant at the time. And then we had a Valentine's Day Healthy Relationships sort of event, which was about, it was a workshop centered around creating healthy boundaries and identifying, both red and green flags within relationships that, aren't necessarily touched upon when the people in those relationships are members of the LGBTQ plus community. A lot of the information that's given to, at least me, about healthy relationships was given to me in school. And especially in school, there isn't necessarily an emphasis on what a healthy relationship does look like for a member of the LGBTQ plus community, and providing people access to what that can look like. It makes us really happy, and we think is a valuable resource. We have collaborative events all the time. So if you're interested in collaborating with us on any type of program or service that you think could benefit the LGBTQ plus community, we are totally happy to have a conversation. We did queer myth making for our teens, which was about how do we create stories for ourselves? How do we tell our narrative in a new and innovative way, and in a way that creates stories that last forever. And what does that look like specifically for our youth? We had Black Trans Stories Matter, which is actually premiering in Pride Month, where we collected literally like spoken word stories of Black trans people in our community. And then we are going to be having a screening of those stories in Pride Month, and we really encourage anyone who's interested to attend, because the stories are they range from so heart-wrenching to so heartfelt. They are powerful stories that tell a really unique experience and a really valuable one. We also have Spill the HRT, which we do frequently, not this specific program, but programs like it, which are about hormone replacement therapy for transgender individuals in our community. And how, what are the effects? What are the side effects? What can you expect in terms of gender changes or dysphoria, which means like uncomfortableness in one's body related to your gender? And how, what are the expected changes in that? And we have doctors who we partner with who specialize in LGBTQ affirming care who can come in and help us provide those services. So finally, the last thing that I wanted to touch on before we had more like conversations together was about our cultural responsiveness training. If you work for or are an organization that feels that you would benefit from training that was about how to best support both LGBTQ members of the outer community, whoever you're serving, and within your own organization, we do provide free trainings in those areas to any organization that contacts us for the most part. And we take great pride in being able to provide this service in the hopes that it creates LGBTQ affirming spaces in other organizations, and helps LGBTQ plus people access jobs, access financial upward mobility. and that, you know, that we help keep our community safe. So I just wanted to throw that out there. You can visit our website at, you know, we got so lucky with the domain name, right? With the lgbtqcenter.org. I was like, woo. But yeah, you can visit our website where you'll see our business directory, you'll see our health directory, you'll see any of, you know, our calendar, any of our programs that are coming up. And I really encourage anyone who feels interested to reach out, because we can help with, I mean, I'm in my own personal position, I'm constantly partnering with other organizations to find ways that we can intersect on supporting the people that we serve. And I'm committed to that, and I hope that you're interested in that too.
Thank you so much, Sky. So we do have a question in the chat, and I guess it refers to the funding sources that support your programs. The question comes from Marcia Sebro. She wanted to know what are the funding sources for your programs other than private, like grants, federal, state, fundraising, that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have grant funding. I don't believe we have any federal funding at the moment, but we do work on writing grants as consistently as we can, and as consistently as we can get a grant writer in. We don't currently have a grant writer on our team, which is kind of a detriment. But we do have grant funding coming in, as well as we do fundraising with a variety of different organizations. We do fundraising with bookstores, you know, where we get 10% of the profit from their LGBTQ written books during certain periods. We do all sorts of just creative fundraising solutions for providing these services. So it's definitely sometimes about both being a person to provide resources and a person to pull resources in for our community.
Awesome. I have one question, and I just wondered, how do you do outreach to schools?
That's a great question. We actually are currently in conversations with GLSEN, which is the organization that most frequently works with LGBTQ teens in school. We don't have any programs for like elementary school right now. Going into school, we do have programs for, you know, if elementary school age children came to us, or if their parents came to us. But we are actually looking into right now, we are starting a program of after school activities, where we will be hosting every Friday night a LGBTQ affirming space for several hours in a high school in Kingston, where where we will be just holding space for anyone who wants to have a space, a safe space to go after school, especially on Friday nights, which are statistically nights where kids can have more trips to the emergency room, get into more trouble just in general. So we do try to provide that space to kind of keep the LGBTQ teens who are more at risk, just statistically, off of the street and out of trouble, and in a space that's supporting them in a different way. So that's something we're looking into right now, but we don't want to step on any other organization's toes. So when GLSEN says like we got it in terms of the the clubs in school, we say, all right, what can we do from the outside?
Well, thank you so much. I think such an awesome amount of information. If you just want to also put your contact back in the chat. I think one last quick question. The cultural responsiveness training is gaining traction and has a really good reputation. How long is that training?
Yeah, I think, well, I don't do them personally. We hire CRT trainers, which stands for cultural responsiveness trainers, from within our community for two reasons. One, to redistribute wealth to those people in our community who have the knowledge. And two, because we just don't have the staffing to do it. So on average, those trainings take, I think, anywhere from an hour to 2 hours for an organization. But I think it also depends on what the individual, we do try to pair our trainers with the needs of the organization that we're trying to interact with. So if you said, as an organization, we need more support for our LGBTQ employees, but we don't really serve the LGBTQ population specifically because we're a restaurant. then we can come in and we can specialize that program to best fit the needs of your organization or your business, so that you can be supporting people in the best way you can. So that, yeah, you know, if you needed the training to be an hour because you have an hour for that, then we make it work because we want to get this information out there.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Skylar. We really learned an awful lot today. And I just want to bring us back to our program, our overall program. Skylar, you may wish to put your contact information in the chat again, just so that people can access it really quickly. So the Healthy Ulster Council, yes, we get together for professional development. We get together for networking, but we also do collective action every year. This year, in the era of this pandemic, we're in a position where we, as all these different agencies and organizations, have the opportunity to help us get to that goalpost of herd immunity with the COVID-19 vaccine. We've had some great success here in Ulster County. I'm going to let Stacy share that in a few moments, but I think that one of the projects that we can do collectively is we're going to ask all of you to share some social media posts. So one of our staff members at Cornell Cooperative Extension actually put together some posts that we can use really easily and will be shared with you. So some social media posts from the CDC have been put together in an easy format for you guys to share. I'm actually going to send them to everyone in this meeting after this meeting. You'll get it in your email. And you'll have 3 posts in English, 3 posts in Spanish. And we're going to ask you every week to put out these posts, if you can, in your social media at your organization, if you're able to. And, you know, if you want to share it personally too, that's great. But they're super easy. They're going to be in Word document and in a PDF document. And what we're going to do is put that out there. You can see we have the post and then the text. You can just copy the picture, put it into your photo part of your social media, and then there's text with links. So there's 3 in English, and again, there's 3 in Spanish, and these are posts that the CDC has put out, and that's to try to help us over this hurdle that we've got in trying to get everyone vaccinated. And this is where I'm going to ask Stacy to share where we are in Ulster County, because I think it's really encouraging that we're doing so well, but let's just hear. So Stacy, you just want to share where we're at compared to the rest of the state? We can be a little competitive about this.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. So if we could all just remember vaccinateulster.com, that is the best place to find our latest schedule of events that are happening in the county. And we should be driving all of our clients to that website. So bookmark it and let everybody know, vaccinateulster.com. We have a lot going on as far as transportation. We have a new van bus that's going to be moving around the county, and the updates will be on the website about that. We have walk-in centers all over. Best Buy, our former Best Buy location, is now walk-in. So we've been adapting and changing to be more accessible, and we have reached great a percentage in Ulster County. If you go to the COVID-19 vaccine.health.ny.gov, there's a COVID vaccine tracker from the New York State Department of Health. And right now, Ulster County has 66.2% of the population with at least 1 vaccine dose. And that's 18 and up. And 55.5% of our population in Ulster County has at least 1 vaccine dose, according to this, of the other age group. And it looks like of our population of 178,599 total population, we have 83,662 people who completed the vaccine series. So we're doing awesome, but we do want to get to be #1 in New York State. And it looks like right now Hamilton County and Tompkins County are leading. So we want to up that, but we need all of your help in just making it very clear where the vaccine clinics are happening. There's going to be one in Kingston at People's Place next week, and more information will be shared about that. We are meeting with town halls, with supervisors to make it accessible throughout the communities. So please keep watch to see if it's locally available for your community, and keep pushing people there with social media, and like our pages, like the county executives pages and the county government's pages, and the health department, so we can share each other's material that way. So thank you.
Thanks, Stacy. So I just want to, encourage you. It's already been sent to you. It's in your email. I'll also be sending it out on the Healthy Ulster Council, the Google group. So if you're not part of that Google group yet, you'll be added after this meeting, and we will be sharing it that way as well, and encouraging you to do that. We have a lot of power as agencies and organizations to get this message out. And this is something as a council, as a coalition, we can do together. So I want to move on to the next part of the meeting, just to keep us moving along here. Okay. So we're coming to that part of the meeting that a lot of you come here for, and I know I enjoy immensely, and that's this networking session that we have, where you get to briefly share your organization's upcoming program or event. This is how we do our networking. It is facilitated. These are our rules of engagement. I will call upon you to share. You're going to say your name and your organization, and then you're briefly, very briefly, going to share an upcoming event or program that you would like everyone to know about. So focus on that event or some mission-oriented statement, rather than sharing everything about your whole organization, because we have 25 or between 20 and 25 people here at the moment. We want everyone to have a chance. We have 20 minutes left in the meeting, so they have basically got a minute to give us a power talk. And remember that you can share more details in the chat. So you can put your website, you can put program dates in the chat, you can put links to documents in the chat. This does get recorded, and that information does go out, and it also appears in the minutes. So we're gonna just move along here. And I'm just gonna stop sharing. I went ahead to the next slide so we can get going. Laura Tucker, can we hear from you?
Hi, I'm Laura Tucker. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm new to Family of Woodstock. I just started last week, actually, so I'm still in training. But we do have a big yard sale that's coming up. It'll be in August. August 21st, I believe, is the date. 21st, Michelle? August 21st. So that's just some news that I want to share with everybody. But yeah, I'm still in training though. So hello to everyone, and I enjoyed the first meeting.
Awesome. Welcome, Laura. And we hope to see you at our next meeting. We're going to move on to Tom McCary. So Tom, just unmute and you're on.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much. If I was just to highlight one thing from the Institute for Family Health, is that we have recently launched 2 landing pages on our website, and I can put those in the chat, for medication for opioid use disorder services. The hope is to help connect people who are either existing patients, interested in becoming patients, to find more information about medication for opioid use disorder, like buprenorphine, and to help streamline the process of helping them get appointments. So this website is in both English and Spanish, and the real call to action is reaching out to our care navigators. We have 2 care navigators in Ulster County that are designated to help individuals with substance use issues, specifically around decreasing barriers to medication-assisted treatment. So I can put those in the chat. Their names are Gina Altbrando and Julian Mercado, and their phone number, and I'll also put their phone numbers in there, which goes directly to them, and so they really kind of cut any barriers to getting appointments. And that's what I would pick to share.
Thanks, Tom. And also look to the chat. Marissa has shared with us that it's very loud in her office right now. So she put some information in the chat. She's the No Up coordinator. So take a look at that. I'm going to move on to Michelle Hirsch.
Hi, I'm Michelle Hirsch. I'm the Assistant Program Director for Adolescent Services at Family Woodstock, and I oversee the Family Peer Support Program that is supports families of children with a mental health diagnosis, ages 0 to 21. We support the parents and caregivers to give them social, emotional, and support. We're all credentialed family peer advocates that are uniquely qualified to work with families with similar children. You can access our services either through the Ulster County SPOA committee or by contacting our program director, Tori Barnes, at Family Woodstock, 331-7080, extension 146. And we can take both Medicaid and commercial insurance cases.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle. Kathy Nolan.
Hi, thanks. Catskill Mountain Keeper is an organization that works to protect the environment in the area, and we're bringing diversity, equity, inclusion training in, and also reaching out to engage in an initiative of New York State to improve access for LGBTQ populations and disabled populations and people who identify as Black, Indigenous, or people of color. So I just want to let people know that there is that initiative going on. It's to make public open spaces more accessible. And if your organization can contribute to that effort or you'd like to know more about it, you can send an email message to me. I'll put my email address in the chat. And I also work with Samadhi Center in Kingston, and we have a calendar page that has all our ongoing programs. So I'll put that in the chat as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kathy. Carrie Woolfield.
Hi, good afternoon. Carrie Wolfile. I'm the team leader at Family Woodstock and work with childcare services. So just a couple of things I wanted to let everybody know about that we're working on. Right now, we received a grant through the Birth Through 5 initiative, and we're offering free baby bundles. We haven't gotten them yet, but they're coming. And what they are kits for families with new infants. We can, up to a year old, we can give the kits out. They're designed to help the whole family build a strong foundation. Inside the reusable tote, there's books, there's local resources, a lot of information about development. So if you're interested, I can send, we have little postcards that you could share with families. I'd be happy to send those out. And then we also have, through Ulster County HEALS, through Department of Health, we have a child care voucher program, which is a program that helps families who are experiencing opioid addiction and need child care to attend treatment programs. But the good thing about this program is it's really flexible, and the child care can be used to attend treatment programs and also just to become successful in their own treatment. So that could be going to the doctors, having job interviews, grocery shopping, or just needing a break from parenting for their own self-care. The referrals can come from any caseworker working with families. So if you're interested or you aren't sure if a family would qualify, they can call our office. I'll put our information in the chat, and they'll pay for the full day of childcare, even if the family just needs about an hour. They'll get the whole day, which is really, really important for these families.
Oh, thank you. That's really good information to have shared. Thanks, Carrie.
Thanks.
James Baptiste.
Hello, I actually work with Sky at the LGBTQ Center. I'm the new program assistant as of Monday. But yeah, the one program that I would plug is the Trans Stories Matter, the Black Trans Stories Matter. That's happening, I believe, June 12th, and it's at 7 p.m. You can definitely find more information. I'm going to type in the website into the chat so you can look at we have a whole bunch of programs coming up, so I'll put that in there. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, James, and welcome. Tom McCary.
Hi, great. I have already shared, but I put it's okay. I put both the Spanish and the English website and Care Navigator contact information in the chat.
Thanks, Tom. Tom did that, in Zoom how people move, he moved to a different spot. So Katie Sheehan Lopez.
So my name is Katie Sheehan Lopez. I'm the SNAP-Ed nutrition educator in Ulster County. So if you have any groups that may be eligible in Ulster, Greene, or Columbia counties, and that could be youth or adults, can please let me know if they'd be interested in nutrition education. I also want to let everyone know that I will be transitioning out of SNAP-Ed starting in June. I'll be taking on the regional farm to school coordinator position. I'll be in SNAP-Ed for a couple of days a week until a full-time person is hired. So you can reach out to me for either thing in the meantime. Thanks.
Awesome. And let's move on to Barbara Sarah.
Okay, well, you can't see me, but you can hear me. And I wrote a lot in the chat. I hope you will read what I wrote. Death is the one diagnosis that we all share. So become death literate. Learn about Circle of Friends for the Dying. Go to our website. We want to help everyone in Ulster County have a good death. So please learn more about us. I hope I will have the opportunity at future meetings to tell you more about the important work we're doing for you and your families. It's important that you fill out advanced care planning for yourself and your families. You're never too young. I'm sorry, you're never too young to die, but you also want to live well. And if you live well, you will die better, and you will die with more certainty that you will be taken care of at the end of your life. I'm really passionate about this. I am the oldest person at this meeting, even though you can't tell, because I am so passionate about life. So it's wonderful to hear you all and to learn about the good work that you're doing. I am a professional social worker, and for 20 years, I was the head of the oncology support program here in Kingston. I honor and applaud all of the work you're doing, but please pay attention to death. It's coming your way. So enjoy your life. And let me come back and tell you more.
Thank you, Barbara. And if you take a look in the chat, Barbara has put a lot of information on her program. So we'll record that, and that will be in the minutes, so you can refer to that after. So I'm going to share just a little bit for Marcia. So Marcia works for Cornell Cooperative Extension, would want to, I'm sure, share that she is the FNEP educator. So she does nutrition education for low-income families. Oh, I can hear you now.
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry. I think my computer needs to be updated again. My name is Marcia. I work with Melinda and Katie for the CCE of Ulster County, and I am scheduling individual families for 8-week series of online nutrition, and I cover everything from shopping on a budget and things that families can do to be more physically active and make healthier food choices, to reduce their consumption of saturated fats, added sugars, and sodium. And I'll put my information in the chat box. And this was a great meeting. Nice to see everyone.
Thanks, Marcia. Holly, Bruno, did I ask you yet? I don't think I did.
Hello, everybody. My name is Holly. I work with the American Red Cross. I'm a disaster preparedness associate. And what we basically do is we give fire safety and general preparedness education to everyone from kindergartners to our high schoolers and beyond.
Thank you very much. Christine Noble.
Hello, everybody. I'm a senior aging services aide at the Office for the Aging, and we have been doing online presentations with seniors since the beginning of this pandemic. Well, not the beginning, but after we learned that we need to do some virtual things. And Tai Chi has started back in the parks, and we have our registered dietitian does a cooking class now every month online. And you can go to our website and see all the scheduled ones. There's 3 a month that we do on different topics right now. And thank you for both the presentations were great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christine. Lailani.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Leilani Yizer Reed. I am with the Mid-Hudson Problem Gambling Resource Center. I guess the two things that we have going on right now, one is we have a new episode of our podcast called The Hidden Addiction, and it is going to be on the platforms of Apple, Spotify, Anchor, and Google. You can find us there. Again, The Hidden Addiction. Our second episode will be on the legislation of online sports betting within New York State that is coming down the pipeline. So be in tuned about that because we interviewed our executive director, Jim Maney. Second, we are having a listening session. We want to hear from the community, the wonderful communities of the Mid-Hudson region, any person, and just what you know about gambling. We feel that at this agency, we can't do this work without the people and their knowledge. So in order to make in order to provide better services to the community, we need to hear from the people. So that will be on May 26th at 6 o'clock. I can send you the flyer. There's registration available, so please join us.
Thanks, Leilani. You might want to put that information in the chat. And Sophia?
Okay, yeah, you can hear me. Sorry, I've been having a little issues today. Want to thank everybody for being here. All the information was excellent. In terms of particular events, we have an event tomorrow. We're collaborating with veterans. That event is to highlight the suicide rate among veterans. But I echo so much of what was said earlier, especially what Barbara Sarah had shared with reference to dying. And I'm not going to get into all the services that Hudson Valley Hospice has, but I do want to highlight just that we do, value life throughout the whole journey of life, and do believe no one should ever die alone. Nobody should ever die in pain, but that quality of life applies to all ages, literally from newborn up to whatever age, and to everybody. And with that in mind, we have had collaborations. I was, listening to Sky talk earlier, and we have provided our free grief and bereavement sessions. We had a collaboration with the center. I've done, presentations to share our services, to share, what we are, so that people aren't so afraid to learn about death and dying, and how to live with dignity, and all of the services that hospice can have. And with that in mind, we've done, collaborations with the Office of the Aging, and that's coming up too. So I won't get into all the services, but if you have any questions, hospice is here for everybody. And, it's not ever too early to learn about a service for when you need it. So, but thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Sophia. And Sophia presented for us not too long ago, and those recordings are available on the healthyulstercouncil.org websites. And I want to call on Stacy and then Vin, and that will bring us around. Stacy?
Yes, I won't talk too long, but we do host the Healthy Ulster radio program. I hope I'm not stealing Vin's thunder if he was going to say this, but he is the main host and interviewer, and he would love to talk to you about your program. So if we haven't already talked to you, please send me an email. I'll put my email in the chat, and let us schedule a time for you to be a part and share your program on the airwaves. We can reach over 35,000 people with Healthy Ulster Radio. So it's a really great opportunity to talk about what you're working on. So thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. Vin?
Hi, everyone. Thank you. I've been working in a couple of different areas. I mean, Stacy and I work together on health education, community engagement, but we also keep all the data and statistics on population health. And I specifically work on opioid prevention strategy in Ulster County. And we have a lot of different programs going on, a lot of interventions going on. Our opioid overdoses are higher than last year, and as are our fatalities. However, they seem to be leveling off, which is a little bit encouraging we have yet to see what the result is, but it's encouraging that they are beginning to plateau somewhat. So that's really great. And one of the projects that we're starting soon is we got a grant from the National Association of County and City Health Officials to create a student-driven peer-to-peer prevention messaging campaign. So we're engaging students from 7th to 11th grade all over Ulster County to work with professional media producers and videographers and social media experts, advertising, to create prevention messaging that is going to be running through the first half of 2022. And we got commitments from the Ulster County Chamber and Ulster Savings Bank to find private sector underwriting to keep that effort going. So we're just getting started on that. If you have no students and young people in that age group who might be interested in participating, either in our leadership council or actually in creating the media itself, we would love to have them. Thank you.
So I want to say thank you to everyone, and thank you to our presenters, Michelle, and thank you to Sky. This was a fabulous meeting. We're so happy to have all of you here, and just join us for our next meeting. Remember, we meet bi-monthly. That will be July 8th. Second Thursday of the month is when we meet. I'm just going to share very quickly kind of our closing information here so that you can just see, the 8th isn't there, but trust me, it's July 8th. And just if you need to contact us. So there's our contact information. And thank you for staying the extra couple of minutes. We really had a lot to share today. And you will have received an email by now about the collective action. So please, let's get these social media posts out. We're gonna make Ulster #1 in New York State in COVID-19 vaccinations. This is something we're doing for our county, for our state, for our country. Let's get on it. We all have something that we can contribute. And thank you again. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care now. Have a wonderful rest of your day.